What in the world are these? Want to find out? Stay tuned. Hey guys, it's Lou from Country Club Comics. I hope your Thanksgiving was as good as it could be. Hopefully you watched the parade. I watch the parade every year to get me ready for the holiday season, as if I needed motivation. I really don't. But in the spirit of the season, I thought what I'd do today is I'd share with you some comics that are extremely special to me. And maybe they hold some significance to you. I don't know. In the 1970s, Marvel and DC created reprints of their most famous issues in tabloid-sized comics called Treasury editions. I'm sure you guys are familiar with these. Marvel had titles like Marvel Treasury Edition, Marvel Treasury Special, Special Marvel Edition, Special Collector's Edition. They had a whole bunch. And DC had a limited collector's edition, as generic a title as you could possibly imagine, and famous first edition, and also later on they had all new collector's edition. And then they actually had crossovers at one time, a couple of times. Kind of cool. The covers on these books were spectacular, just absolutely spectacular. Mostly it was original art, unless they reprinted the actual cover from one of the issues within the book, but most of the time they were original art. They were just wonderful. Now, I have the entire collection, with the exception of Annie and Smurfs, which I don't think I'll actually pull the trigger on those. But when I was a kid, my father bought these for me. As soon as they hit the newsstands, boom, he brought one home for me. And they ranged in price from $1 to $2 for DC. And then the Marvel was square bound, so it was $1.50. Okay? But what I wanted to do was I wanted to sort of hone in on the treasuries that were Christmas themed. And I want to first look at the DC ones, and then we'll have a separate video for the Marvel treasuries that are Christmas themed. For the most part, DC just really reprinted their Rudolph books from the 1950s. Now, these books, I mean, if you read them, I could read them now and just be thrown back to being a 7-year-old again. They had this kid-friendly artwork from the 50s, and they had engaging characters. And in the books, they gave kids something to actually do besides read the story. You also had the opportunity on a lot of these limited editions to cut the back cover. Yes, cut the back cover into two pieces and create sort of a diorama, and I'll show you some examples later. So this is the first DC Treasury. Let me throw some pictures up. First DC Treasury was there were no numbers on this issue, but it's considered in the Overstreet Guide as C-20. That's how the numbering started. And this was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and it's really the most valuable of all of the treasuries. So it's not, it's more valuable than all the Marvels, all the DCs. This one is the one to get. If you really just wanted to get one to represent the series, this would be the one. All right. Other Rudolph issues included C-24 with this cool Black Winter's Night cover and one of those dioramas previously mentioned. I can only imagine what these actually looked like when completed. Oh, to be a kid again. C-33, and you can see where I took some liberties with a pen. I don't know why, I was just drawing on the cover. Yes, these are all mine, by the way. With the exception of C-20, these are all mine from when I was a kid. And here's another example of a diorama. C-42 and another diorama. Then there was C-50, C-53, and this C-53 is the last of the Rudolph Christmas issues, because then the next and last Rudolph issue was Rudolph's Summer Fun, which I'll show you here just for the sake of completion. But it had Rudolph, so to me it was still Christmassy enough. So let me show you some of the activities that you could do in these books, and you'll see some of them actually completed. For 7-year-old Lou was busy completing these puzzles, totally marking up the book. The point here, though, is that I just wanted to share with you the true love I had for these books. And I read these cover to cover multiple times, not just the Rudolph, every one of these treasuries. This is the way I got into comics. This is the way I started collecting comics. I couldn't afford to, go out and buy. Nobody who can afford those grails that 30, 40, 50,000, a million, who knows. So you had the treasuries to fall back on, right? And honestly, if you want to get your kids into comics, your young kids, these treasury editions are truthfully the way to go. With the exception of C20, which is kind of expensive, the other ones are relatively cheap. Compared to the market on the whole and what you're getting in these, they're really cheap. And honestly, a lot of them have been untouched. So they probably printed way more than they sold. But you'll find these in stacks sometimes, and clean covers, smooth, clean covers, bright graphics. So, pick them up for your kids, throw them under the tree, see what happens, right? And those were all the Rudolphs. But there were two more DC Christmas themed treasuries. And they were both entitled Christmas with the Superheroes. So there's one story in C42, I think it is. I think it's C42. Of Batman. And it's entitled Silent Night, Deadly Night. Which is kind of a really terrible title for the story. The story is extremely emotional. It's got some action, but the colors and the style of art, I believe it's Neil Adams. It has to be Neil Adams. And the characters are so limited. There's no Robin. There's no Alfred. No Commissioner Gordon. It's just Batman, a daughter, and her father, who's really just trying to do the right thing. And in the end, Batman expresses that. And it's just so wonderfully done. And this story leads right into a Shazam story, which is, a lot lighter in tone. The colors are a little brighter. Story might be a little bit sillier, but the emotion is there as well. And I remember this particular scene where the uncle's, I forget, his Uncle Marvel, I forget what his name is. His beard goes on fire from the tree, from the train rather, and he gets fired from a job at playing Santa. It's a very cool story. The thing is, I'm sure the editors of DC had a lot of choices they could have made to put into these treasuries. The same way they put an omnibus together today, which is pretty much a continuum of story, right? This, they put together select stories. And there were a lot of Christmas-themed stories. But I really feel like they chose the right ones. That's just my opinion. But I can tell you, if you grew up with these books like I did as a kid, they have to hold a special place in your heart, I would imagine. And if, like I said, if you're in the market for these and you want to complete them, they're not that expensive. I mean, on average, I would say for one in near mint condition, $20. Maybe more depending on how many are available, the way comics work, right? But my advice is pick up a few for your kids if you want them to read. And just resign yourself to the fact that they're going to write in the books, they're going to complete those puzzles, they're going to have some fun, and this is going to hold a memory. Because here I am, nearly 50 years later, these still hold such a solid place in my heart. Like I sold one of these books because it was just such bad condition. I beat the bejesus out of it, and I regret that. So these I will never sell. My whole collection I will never sell. There's no point to selling it. I'm going to keep them forever. So I hope you enjoyed this video. We're going to be doing another video on the Marvel themed treasuries, which are kind of cool. Great stories in there too, and art. It's just fabulous. No dioramas. So look forward to that. And if you get a chance, follow me on Whatnot at country_club_comics. Big Silver Age sale this Saturday of Charlton and Gold Key and Dell and even some Golden will be put in there. So if you want to just join into that sale or see what's up over there, come on and join us. Also here on YouTube, of course, Country Club Comics. And if you want to email me, please, countryclubcomics@gmail.com. So I know everybody says please subscribe and comment. I'm really more interested in this video in your comments. I want to know if you had these books, what they meant to you, if maybe I'm the only one out there that feels this passionate about these books, especially the Christmas ones. But let me know what you think. And thanks for tuning in. And until next time, true believers, so long. Okay, I couldn't resist. Kind of cool, right? But I made copies. So, happy holidays. Get your kids some of these books. See you guys later.